What is going on? Happy National George Kittle Day. We had to wear the George Kittle jersey for today. We got great news. Obviously, we talked about George Kittle, but the 49ers finally added an offensive tackle today. Woo! Y'all wanted a tackle. Y'all wanted offensive lineman, and the 49ers gave you an offensive lineman today. I was hyped. I couldn't believe it. I was like, am I seeing this right? Am I seeing this right? This is crazy. Shout out to the Niners. They took care of business. Man, listen, I told you, just wait, slow cooking in the pot. John Lynch, slow cooking in the pot, man. He's taking his time, but he's doing what he has to do. So here's what they did. They said, okay, we're going to fire Nick Sorensen. He gone. We're going to fire Brian Schneider. He gone. We're going to fire all the people that need to be fired. Brandon Staley, he gone. He gone. And then they said, okay, we got to bring back Robert Saleh. He back. Robert Saleh, he back. And then they brought in some great defensive linemen in the draft. They went and stacked the line. You went and got Mikael Williams. You got Alfred Collins. You got DJ West. You added some dogs. Nick Martin. Not enough people are talking about him. He looks like he's going to be the next Dre Greenlaw. They went and had a great steal of defensive talent on the draft. You know, they got a couple insurance players, some depth pieces. And on the offense, it is what it is. They weren't like, superstars, but they're going to be players that down the line will be depth players and maybe step up into a bigger role down the line. But they drafted some really big defensive players, and everybody was upset. They didn't go O-line. Niners were looking for offensive linemen. They tried to get tackles, but the Raiders essentially kind of screwed them over. They took players that the Niners that had on their board. So it was like, damn, okay, we still need a swing tackle, right? You lost Jalen Moore. They did get a guard, Connor Colby. He's a pretty solid guard, probably going to compete for that left guard spot. Today, the 49ers agreed to terms. It's a one-year deal with DJ Humphries. He's a veteran in the league. He's played for the Cardinals and he's played for the Chiefs. But unfortunately, he's been dealing with an ACL tear and some hamstring injuries. So yeah, he does have some injuries to deal with. So he's tore his ACL on December 31st, 2023. Went through post-injury year with the Chiefs. He struggled, obviously he struggled a little bit when he dealt with the injury last year, but he's 100% ready to roll. He's fully healthy. His agency announced the move and he says, I'm healthy, ready to go. So now he's looking to bounce back. I don't think it's that big of a contract. Obviously, one-year deal is probably a smaller vet minimum. They haven't announced all the details, but it's probably a prove it deal, right? It's probably a prove it 1 year. Hey, you had injuries last year. You didn't look good with the Chiefs because you were bouncing back from injuries. We're going to give you a small amount, and he's a swing tackle. He's going to be able to come in, compete, earn that role that role where you step in. If Colton McKivitz is hurt or whatever, or Trent Williams is hurt or whatever, he's going to step in and be that guy. So he's a veteran. He's a former Pro Bowler. It's one of those guys. The 49ers needed a veteran, and they needed some depth, and they added a tackle. I think it's a very low risk, high reward. They just needed a tackle. They couldn't draft one, so they added a veteran who knows how to play in the league. He's been in the league, 9 years? And now with that move, they filled out every roster spot. He was the missing piece, right? You got 90 players on the roster now. Honestly, again, he's a former Pro Bowler, right? He was really, really fantastic for the Cardinals through his career. And, at the very least, you got a guy that can come in, compete, and at least maybe make a name for himself. He's going to be proving it, right? He's going to have a prove it deal, and he's a hungry guy. And there's not a lot of guys that could come in and start or take a big role, especially even rookies. And the 49ers were trying to get tackles, just didn't happen. So they get a guy that, if he's healthy, he could probably at least be the swing tackle. I mean, he might be able to take Colton McKivitz's job if he is 100% healthy. Who knows? But I don't think that's the case. So smart move. I think it was nice. 49ers finally gave us an offensive lineman. I think the Niners fans were pissed. But now after you add this on top of everything they've done in the offseason, it's been a W offseason, right? Nick Sorensen fired him. Brian Schneider fired him. Brandon Staley fired him. Robert Saleh brought him back. You added some great defensive linemen. Also, they fixed the entire special team. They signed so many special teamers this offseason. And then you go and grab some key defensive players in the draft, and then you get a swing tackle. I mean, at the end of the day, he can't be worse than Jalen Moore, although he was pretty good last year in place of Trent Williams. So I think it was a good offseason so far. So let's see. David says, I mean, why wouldn't he be disappointed? They spent years not worrying about the O-line. Yeah, the offensive line has never been a priority for the 49ers. So um, just got to lock up Purdy and Warner now, says RF Gang. Yeah, according to Ari Myrov, my sports update, that's the next goal is to lock up Brock Purdy. So that's the update on Brock Purdy is they're going to shift their focus on making sure Brock Purdy gets paid. According to Ari Myrov, the compensation is probably going to be $50 million per year. So Brock Purdy, he's the next guy in line. And as John Lynch told us a few weeks ago, he's got 3 contracts that they got to take care of. George Kittle, that was one. Fred Warner, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is getting taken care of next. And then they got one more, Fred Warner. They'll take care of it. Fred even says he's not worried. He knows they're going to get taken care of. He said, I know that this is going to be a deal that gets, fixed out. I'm not even stressing about it. So he says, I know I'm going to get paid eventually. They always take care of me. So Niners have had a very undramatic offseason. Now, if you're a clickbait artist, you're going to sit there and say, oh my God, there's no drama for George Kittle. He's probably the one player in the league. There's never any drama around him. He's a great player, never has any allegations or anything, nothing crazy, just lives his life, has a great wife who decorated his whole entire place after his contract extension while they were out and signing his contract, comes home, has a big celebration at home. And what a guy, what a family, what a wife, it's a hell of a leader. And they were able to give us an offensive tackle for depth. So it's a good day. 49ers cooking. And then again, Brock Purdy, they're looking to get his contract done next. Parag's on it, man. You got to realize Parag has a lot of work to do. And sometimes these contracts do take time because there's negotiations, but also Parag is busy. He's got a soccer team that he's dealing with, right? The Leeds United, they added another soccer team. They have 2 teams now in 49er Enterprises, plus the players, right? Kittle, Warner, Purdy, their agents. You got to talk to them. You got to find time to talk to everybody and schedule all that out. So shout out to Parag for getting this one, the Kittle done deal. Now you can shift your focus on Purdy. And then after that, Fred Warner is going to be a piece of cake. I'm sure that contract's going to be like super easy because he's just non-dramatic. It's another guy. No drama. He wants to play. He wants to win. He's pretty much a guy that probably wants to be a Niner for life himself. So you lock those guys up. And I think it's going to happen well before training camp. The Niners are just operating on a different level. In the past, they signed guys that it took them forever. It took them into training camp. It was holdouts, drama. Kittle, the first contract, there was a little bit drama involved there, but it was also because the agent was playing very, very tough and he played hardball. But this time, Kittle knew what he wanted. Parag knew what to do, and they got it taken care of. And, shout out to Deanna Rossini for being wrong about the whole report. Doubled down, says Kittle wasn't there because of contract negotiation, blah, blah, blah. Does she not realize George Kittle was in Las Vegas for WrestleMania? She's still doubling down. She still tweeted out this morning, breaking news, George Kittle, I knew he was trying to get the highest paid contract. Like, come on, dude. That's not why he missed the OTAs. Unbelievable. But, Deanna Rossini, I got to give her so much crap because it is just preposterous for her trying to double down and get her clicks. I got to hold her accountable. And when you tell the source he's wrong, you look silly. So shout out to George for, making sure he told who he needed to tell to break the news. I think that most of the coolest thing about George Kittle's news that broke today, the contract extension, he told his boys what bussing with the boys. He didn't tell any. They were the ones to break it, and that to me is big. All right, it's an independent sports company, bussing with the boys, Barstool Sports. Those are Will Compton and the crew. Those are George Kittle's like friends, great friends, homeboys, right? Like those are his dogs. Adam Schefter didn't break this news. Ian Rappaport didn't break this news. Deanna Rossini sure as hell didn't break this news. Bussing with the boys. And I know they were on Twitter and stuff telling, hey, you got to give us the credit. They were telling NFL Network, give us the credit, right? They were the ones that broke it because Kittle told his guys. They were the ones that told everybody. He wanted to make sure the right source got to break this news instead of everybody else under the sun, instead of Deanna Rossini. I thought that was the coolest thing, was George Kittle specifically told his sources, his guys, and they could break the news. That was the coolest thing to me. I kind of like, that was to me is like, oh yeah, okay, Rossini, you want sources? You better make sure you quote and give my guys the credit. So yeah, good stuff, man. No holdouts. I'm happy so far. So Julia says, is this the best offseason since 2019? It might be. It might be. Chris says, like I said, the coaching staff knows we don't know, no matter how mad we were about not getting offensive linemen in the draft, trust the process, faithful. Yeah, at the end of the day, remember Jed York a few months ago said, hey, the draft's not the only process. The free agency is not the only process. He says we still got a lot of, maybe trades, maybe signings after the draft. That's the thing. After the draft, you can still sign players. Hello, they're still free agents. And after the draft, right, you look through your roster and you're like, oh, we still don't have a tackle. Oh, we still don't have XYZ. And you go find XYZ. Today, XYZ was the tackle, and they got a tackle. Now, they delivered. The 49ers, they absolutely have delivered this offseason. They're taking care of these contracts. They're taking care of the players that need to be taken care of. And I think overall, they're doing a great job. The media tries to always portray the Niners in this negative light. And you know what? The 49ers are saying, okay, we're going to keep moving along. You guys are going to sit here and with your bullshittery, like Deb says, try to make some fake reports, but we're going to tell you what it is, and then we're going to deliver it. John Lynch doesn't lie to us. He tells us what it is, and then people make these clickbait stories, and then 2 weeks later, when whatever he told us happens, we're like, oh, look, John Lynch told us, and then people are posting it, and like, oh, look, John Lynch told us. Yeah, he told us. Why is it news to everybody when it comes out? He literally told us, wait, we're going to look into the draft. And then Jed York and John Lynch said, if we don't sign a certain player or if we don't fill a certain need, we're going to address it eventually. So, yeah, Throwback says George is going to be in Canton. Absolutely. The guy's a Hall of Famer. Gold jacket, ready. Get the gold jacket. Have you seen the man's stats? He's unbelievable. This is unbelievable. His stats are incredible. Let's pull up the stats, man. This guy is just unbelievable. Let's pull up his career stats. It's pretty amazing what he's done. So 6,390 receiving yards registered in his first 100 career games, third most by a tight end in his first 100 career games in NFL history. 2,945 yards. It's the most receiving yards by a tight end in his first 3 seasons. One of 5 tight ends in NFL history with 4 seasons with 1,000 receiving yards. 7,380 career receiving yards. Third most receiving yards in franchise history. In the entire franchise of the 49ers, they've had guys like Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens. He's behind Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens. He might catch T.O. T.O. had 8,572 career receiving yards. George Kittle, 7,380. He might catch T.O. for number 2 all time. T.O. is a wide receiver. George Kittle is a tight end. Unbelievable. He set the standard for tight ends. And we all know he also is Mr., a personality, the heartbeat of this team, the mic'd up, just the personality he does, the locker room, everything. He has the second most receiving yards by a tight end in their first 8 seasons, 5 career games with 150 receiving yards, tied for second most by a tight end in NFL history, 21 career games with 100 receiving yards, the 4th most by a tight end in their first 8 NFL seasons, 3rd tight end in NFL history to have registered 500 plus receptions and 7,000 plus receiving yards, in his first 8 seasons. This guy's a freaking dog, man. And he's done it. The thing that's crazy, he's done it with Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, Brian Hoyer, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance. He's done it with some balderdash-ass quarterbacks throwing him the ball. He's never had a Patrick Mahomes. He's never had a Josh Allen. He's never had an MVP-type quarterback. I mean, Brock, he had an MVP-type season. He's good, but he's still on the level of Patrick Mahomes. I got respect for Brock, right? He's the franchise future. But I'm saying before Brock got there, he was doing this with some low-level type quarterbacks, throwing him the pill. And he was still putting up those numbers. It's unbelievable what he did with Nick Mullins, man. So good for Kittle, good for the 49ers. You got a tackle. I like the move, DJ Humphries, right? Low risk. He's a guy that could come in and add a lot to this O-line department. I think if he can play like he was when he was healthy and as a Pro Bowler, you got a nice little low risk, type move. It's a prove it guy. He's gonna be hungry, and again, you need depth. And I think this was the best case scenario, better than a rookie that may not, be able to figure out the game. This guy at least knows the game. He's been in the league for a long time, so he doesn't need a lot of training. Just needs to make sure he's up to speed with the playbook and, he can run and he's healthy. If a rookie, at some point they hit that rookie wall, they kind of crash out. They get hurt. They get, tired. They get stressed out by after 10, 11 games. I'm not saying rookies aren't good. It's, great. But again, the 49ers couldn't really find a rookie tackle that they wanted, and the guys they wanted got drafted ahead of them. And then you got to think about this. Okay, if you signed a rookie tackle, would he even compete? Would he be, there? By the time they started to draft tackles or look into tackles, right? It was fourth, fifth round. Was there anybody good enough? I think if they would have drafted a tackle in the second or third round, I think we would have found like a really blue chip, maybe not necessarily a blue chip, but they would have found a guy that would have been very productive. But then the 49ers, if you look at their needs and the way they drafted, they tried to fix that defense. Because if you look at that team last year, yeah, okay, offense was not that great. I know O-line was a concern, but that defense was so bad. It was just among the worst in the league. And Robert Salah put an emphasis on that. They got a new DC. I'm sure they gave him the keys and say, hey, man, you're coming in. We want to give you a lot of control over this draft. And that's what Salah did. They gave him the ability to pick his own defense. So, yeah, it would have been nice to get some offensive linemen, but 49ers were okay with what they had. They were, it's not like it's the worst. It's middle of the pack. We want it to be better, right? And I think injuries also didn't help with Trent Williams getting banged up. That definitely took a toll on this offensive line. But, they didn't really see anybody by the time they were starting to draft that was, going to make a big role on this team. So they went with the defense. And, the one major issue to me on the offense was it wasn't that they couldn't move the ball. They just couldn't score in the red zone. You got all the way down there, and then you stalled. So running back was an issue, right? Having that wide receiver threat. Other than George Kittle, they really didn't have a red zone option outside of maybe Juwan Jennings. But by the time you get in there, you knew he was going to get the ball. CMC was hurt. He was your touchdown machine the season previous. So you got to think about it. The 49ers, they're going to get Christian McCaffrey back. Hopefully, cross our fingers, he's 100% healthy. George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. Offense should be able to score in the red zone. To me, it wasn't necessarily all bad on the offense. Yeah, it was times it was like, so O-line's not doing great, but they also didn't have CMC, right? And Trent Williams. So that's going to make things, glaringly bad. And, Purdy struggled, right? We all know he didn't play the greatest, but not having Trent, he was running for his life. Not having CMC was such a big loss. You lose the ability to check it down to him. You lose the ability to just give him the ball, and he can make nothing into something. If CMC's there, it changes the whole way you run your offense. So if he's back and healthy 100%, Brock's going to look better. Even Jimmy Garoppolo, when the 49ers had Jimmy G at quarterback the year that CMC was there, when he first came in and everything, he made Jimmy Garoppolo look pretty damn good. Not going to lie to you. You remember Rams games? Jimmy was slinging and dialing up some dimes. Him and CMC had some good chemistry, and he made Jimmy have some fantastic games. CMC changes everything. So if he's healthy, if Trent Williams is healthy, Brock's going to look great. And then you got some more weapons out there. So O-line's not as bad as it could, as a lot of people think. But I will say Jake Brendel, he did take, a step down. And I've never been high on Colton McKivitz. But I think if you can shore up that left guard spot, get a strong side with Trent Williams, that's the big key. Hopefully one of the guys they have that's going to compete can really hold that down. I mean, Colton McKivitz is Colton McKivitz, but it's just it's like a wash with him and McGlinchey. It's the same to me, really. Jake Brendel, a lot of people hate on him. He's mediocre, right? He doesn't allow any sacks, but his run defense, his run blocking, just some of the things he does, he's made some big mistakes. But I think in the Niners, what they're telling us is there's nobody better right now that they've tried to look into or draft that's going to even pass Jake Brendel. So you replace him, you're not replacing him with someone that's even better than him. So you take a step back. That's, I think, what the Niners are telling us. It's unfortunate that we can't find a guy that's better than Jake Brendel right now. So red zone was shit, both sides. I agree. 49ers red zone. You're the red zone. Rick G says Salah saved our defense. I agree. MSQ says Kittle is better than Kelsey all time because Kelsey and Smith had Mahomes as his QB. He had Smith and Mahomes. Not only that, George Kittle also blocks. You see him blocking like crazy. He blocks like a menace. Travis Kelsey could never. Z says our pass protection is from the Dollar Tree. Well, hopefully this year that Dollar Tree raised their prices, so maybe it's a little bit better. Throwbacks is so glad Banks is gone. He got a lot of money. I don't think he was worth that much. Niners weren't going to pay him that. It's just, to me, that left guard spot is going to be a major competition in camp. Because you got some guys, Ben Barch, Spencer Burford, and now the rookie Colby they got. There's going to be three guys trying to go for that left guard spot, man. I'm not going to lie to you. That is going to be my favorite competition in camp. It's probably going to be the hottest competition in camp. That and linebacker, because they got Nick Martin. He's a dog, but D Winters creeping up, man. Who's going to take that second linebacker spot? Or do they roll with the 3 linebackers? I mean, they will in some downs and stuff, but remember they had Azeez Al-Shahir, Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. They couldn't keep all 3 of those guys off the field, and I think that could be what we see next year. Who knows? That's it. This puts us over the top, says 49ers First Takes. This puts us over the top. DJ Humphries, my boy. He's excited. He's excited. He's going to make the Seahawks interior better. Everyone, let's see. Unfortunately, we can't get everyone in the draft, and we need to focus on the D-line to stop the run, which made sense. Why we didn't focus on O-line? Yeah, throwback. Niners defense last year was absolute gutter trash against the run, and they fixed it. That's what they needed to do. If you look at that team last year, they were getting gashed. I mean, so bad. And I agree. They definitely need to fix that defensive line. They had a lot of holes. And I think with the 3 guys they added, for sure on the D-line, Alfred Collins, Michael Williams, and CJ West, those 3 guys are going to really help stuff the run. Young guys, hungry, and they're just all good against the run. And then you added Nick Martin. Very, very excited to see what these guys are going to do with the 49ers coming up. So the most I want an upgrade is the center position, says Throwback. Yeah, I think we all would love to see Jake Brendel be upgraded at center. But again, there's not a lot of great center talent out there that was available. And I think that was why the 49ers opted to stick with Jake Brendel. He understands the system. You know, him and Brock have good communication. It could be better, but, you know, there's really nobody better out there. They have Nick Zakelj. Maybe he finally develops and steals that role. You had Drake Nugent, who was undrafted last year. You have Matt Hennessy. Maybe one of those 3 guys can take the role. But if they're not good enough to take the role from Jake Brendel, you don't want to downgrade yourself. So at the moment, Jake's the best guy for the job. Now let's see if someone can dethrone him. Come into camp. Come ready to compete, man. Come ready to take that man's job. And it can't be that difficult, right? If he's better than everybody, he keeps the job, bottom line. So Junior says, our D-line and missing Greenlaw hurts us on defense last season. I agree. Rick says they're going to ruin QB lives. I hope so. We need to ruin QB lives. We haven't been ruining QB lives for a long time. So I hope that's the case. DJ Humphries is coming off an injury, says yay area. He had a torn ACL at the end of 2023, which was December of 2023. So last year, he pretty much was a rehab year. He played a little bit. He had some hamstring issues as well. So yes, technically he's, last time he's really played was 2023, but then he had the injury, and last year was kind of a year where he was trying to get back, and, he struggled a little bit getting back from injury. But if he's healthy, it's a steal, man. 1-year deal, prove it deal. He's going to be hungry to earn his check. So you can't reach in the draft just because you have a need, says Throwback. Yeah, absolutely. If you're trying to reach for players, just because you need that pick, but then you pass up on guys you wanted, that's when you get into problems. I think early on when John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan were here, they reached a lot. I mean, I'm not going to say they didn't reach, this year or last year, but I think they've gotten better in determining which guys can fit their system and who they should draft. I think their drafting has gotten better over the last years, but I mean, the jury's still out on this year's draft. Like, I know we're all excited. These guys look good. We're hyped up, but if they suck on the field, then we can say, yeah, they probably reached on certain players. There were some reaches, like taking the quarterback. But at that point in the 7th round, I mean, he's going to be undrafted. What's the difference between a 7th rounder and undrafted at that point? And maybe he's the quarterback you really liked, and maybe you didn't want to risk it. And, there were other quarterbacks on the board, but that's the guy they wanted. That's the guy they liked. So at that point in the 7th round, I'm okay with what they had to do. They did what they did. They got some depth players. They got a guard too. But I wouldn't have reached, like, let's say round 4, you take a guy that may be a 7th round projected player in round 4 just because you need it. So that's when you get into trouble. And I feel like the 49ers did that a lot in the past, but I think they've learned their lesson somewhat. Throwback. Let's see. Chris says all Kittle needs is Penta to show up for him to go crazy. Penta, Sierra Madera. Yeah, that's right. Go Warriors, says Throwback. Time for the Wolves to send the Lakers to Cancun. I think they play tomorrow night. I was hoping it was tonight. I'm pretty sure the Lakers game's tomorrow. Lakers Wolves. He gave LeBron an extra day off, man. I hope the Wolves send that boy packing. Ant-Man, shout out to Ant-Man. That guy's a dog, man. I'm convinced he's the son of MJ. Him and Jimmy Butler got to be the illegitimate sons of Jimmy Butler or Michael Jordan. Sorry, Jimmy Butler and Ant-Man, they got to be Jordan's sons. They got the goat in them, goat blood in them. But Anthony Edwards, that man is a legend killer. Whew. Raj, the refs tried to screw the Warriors. Brooks lives rent free. Dude, I swear, last night's game had me so. If you would have watched the game with me, you'd be like, oh my God, this man's crazy. We were, my daughter and I were watching this game, and I was so stressed to the max. So mad. Those refs had me irritated. The Houston Rockets are a very cheap, dirty team. They're trying to hurt Steph. They're pushing them. I hope the Warriors can win this next game because they need some rest. Houston's been very physical, man. Very, 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 very physical. It's been a tough series in terms of, the physicality. And I think the Warriors need to get this game over with and win. I do think it might go 6, though, because the refs they've been disgusting. They've been calling some disgusting stuff. So we'll see. Rourke tore his ACL twice. What's with Kyle liking injured QBs? Yeah, I don't know about that, Z. That was definitely a weird that was the talk of the day. I remember that day when Rourke got drafted. I was shook. I'm sure you guys were shook too, but I was like, what the fuck? And then when we looked him up, looking up all his information, he had the ACL tear, but he is tough. He played through an ACL injury last year. That's pretty damn impressive, but at the same time, it's boneheaded to do that. But he's tough. But I will say, Kyle loves injury player prone guy. But some people just love certain players, and even if they have an injury, they're attracted to them. They just want their qualities. Like Trent Baalke, this was the ACL messiah, torn ACL messiah at GM. Man, it's crazy how some guys just love injured players. I don't know. How about them Giants? Yeah, they're killing it, man. 49ers offense is Julia says the 49ers offense is like driving a manual car. It's easy moving forward, big spaces, but tend to stall in short spaces. It's a good way to put it, because in the red zone, in that short space, man, they stall like crazy. Lakers deserve going to Galveston. Seems like Jimmy Butler's in peace with Buddy. I love their little back and forth. Their relationship's crazy, man. You could tell they're besties, but they go back at it. They roast each other. That's when you know your boys when you're roasting each other. MSQ, a 7th round QB being drafted shouldn't be that shocking. I mean, again, to me it was. You got 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Now I know they're going for 4, but I think he could have just went undrafted at quarterback. It was a little shocking when you take a guy. At the time, you needed an offensive lineman. Now looking back, hindsight's 2020. They did take an offensive lineman after that, but it was kind of shocking to people. Initially, the shock value, it was at the time when the move was made, when the draft pick was selected. The moment it happened, it was a little shocking. Like looking back and seeing everything and peeling everything back and understanding what the 49ers did, you're like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. But in the moment of time, it was a pretty big shock value. What the hell is going on? Quarterback's got a contract situation. It was a little shocking, not going to lie to you. But, everybody's got their opinion on the matter. Let's see. Why am I now realizing that in draft day, Bo Callahan's agent was dead? How are you now? You're just now realizing? That's like the biggest thing. I was watching it last week, and I remember I was like, oh, man. At the moment I watched it. I've seen it many times, but then when I watched it, and you remember, you're like, oh, that's why he didn't get drafted. All them parties. He was at them. Bo Callahan was at them Diddy parties. What number is on the jersey? This is 8-5, my boy. George Kittle. Of course, we had to rep George Kittle today. We went with the George Kittle today. It's a George Kittle Day. Happy George Kittle Day to y'all. It is April, 29th? Tuesday, April 29th. It is now officially George Kittle Day in the Bay. When is Fred Warner going to get paid? It did seem like he's not worried. Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about Fred Warner. I think he's going to get paid eventually before training camp. He said he's not worried. He understands this team is going to pay him. He knows how it works. They always reward their players. I think Brock Purdy gets paid, and then shortly before training camp or mandatory, I think before mandatory training camp, they should have everything shored up in June. I'd be surprised if they go into July without these contracts taken care of. But I would say sometime in June they get these contracts finalized, because you want to make sure you pay Fred while he's at training camp and make sure he understands he's very respected. He's a captain, and here's your money. But from according to what my sports update Ari Myrov said today, they want to pay Brock Purdy. They're going to shift their focus towards that, and then after Brock, they're going to go possibly to Fred Warner. So Niners are doing what they got to do. They're taking care of business. They're addressing their needs. And again, I mean, if you look at the old body of the offseason, you got rid of Nick Sorensen, you got rid of Brian Schneider, you got rid of Brandon Staley, you hired Robert Salah, you fixed your defense, you got a new Brant Boyer, you got a new special teams coordinator, you just added a swing tackle, you extended George Kittle, you're going to get Brock Purdy's taken care of, you're probably going to get Fred Warner's taken care of soon. CMC's back healthy, Trent Williams is back healthy. You took care of Diamador last season, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a good offseason. I think this team's going to be great. At least 10 wins at the bottom minimum. See. 17 days to the schedule get release. Yeah. Seahawks on Thanksgiving. That'd be fun. When will the new uniforms get released? I'm not too sure when, but it's going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop the schedule release and then they have that state of the franchise around that. I think around state of the franchise, they always do it around state of the franchise, like jersey stuff and like cool, announcements. It's going to be around that time. So in the next 2 weeks, we're going to find out the schedule, what the new jerseys look like. Hopefully they don't screw those and they make them look nice. So in the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to see a lot of cool stuff. We're going to see the rookie mini camp, and we're also going to see OTAs. You're going to see phase 2. The Niners are going to have a lot of content on that. A lot of the reporters that go. So that's going to be fun to see. So how many rookies do I think will end up starting? Off the top of my head, I think at least 3, maybe 4. So we got Williams, Michael Williams is going to start. Alfred Collins is going to start. I think CJ West is going to start. Or at least, I think he could start. They got some decent defense tackles. Kevin Givens, they really like him. Jordan Elliott. But I think CJ West, if he comes into training camp and, shows the ability that I think he's going to show, he's going to be a starter. And then Upton, he'll probably be your nickel cornerback. I think he's going to be a guy that could come in and be that Jimmy Ward or K'Wan Williams type guy. I think he's really gunning for a safe starting spot. I think for at least those guys start. Then you have Connor Colby, the guard from Iowa. He's going to compete. If he could take out Ben Barch and Spencer Burford, he could be a starter. But I don't know if he's going to be guaranteed. He's at least going to be rotational depth. And then you have who else is there? And then Marquise Seigel. He's got an outside chance to start because of the fact that Mustafa, he's got the injury. He re-injured the ACL now. Mustafa's trying to be back by week 1. This guy's a tough SOB. He's a dog. So I don't know if Seigel's going to be a guaranteed starter week 1, but he has an opportunity if Mustafa misses time. Now, the initial update was he would be gone till midseason, but according to Mustafa and his family, they've been pretty hard going hard pressed to say, hey, week 1 is not out of the question. So we'll see. But I think at least the first 3 defensive linemen they take, 100%, 100% will be able to be starters on this team. So do you think the new offensive coordinator can adjust the way our offense? It's going to be interesting what they do with the new offensive coordinator, Kubiak, obviously. It's going to be interesting because Kyle's still technically going to be calling plays, but how much impact, how much say is Kubiak going to have in the offensive coordinator role? That's always going to be a good question. I'm not too sure yet. I'll talk to Larry, and maybe when they finally get to ask these guys questions, when the season gets rolling, as we get closer, training camp comes up, it'll be interesting to hear and see what Kyle says about the role Kubiak has. Because right now, as we know right now, Kyle's still calling plays, but how much of an impact is the coordinator going to have? Is he going to be able to help shift plays and adjust things for Kyle, or is he going to give him input? I don't know. So that's a good question. I think that's still to be determined. So David says Upton Stout should be a good one. I'm not too convinced about Trey Brown. Yeah, I agree. Trey Brown, he's a decent veteran. I think he'll be a good rotational player, but I don't know if I want him starting, and I really have high hopes for Upton Stout. He looks pretty damn good. He looks pretty damn hungry. He's already training. I like this kid. He's feisty. The energy he gave on draft day was nice to see. So better be the 98 jerseys I've been asking for 10 years to Z for the new jerseys. Those maroon joints, I love them. A lot of people don't because they're associated with some some bad times, some not so good times. They also had some really good times in those jerseys, right? I love those maroon joints, man. Those were my favorite back in the day. I hope they bring them back. That'd be cool to see those brought back. I don't know. I think it's gonna be a whole new type of jersey. I'm hearing like steady, like I don't know, some weird type vibes. That's what I'm hearing so many different things, like City Connect type jerseys. I don't know. I don't know. Just bring back something from the past. I agree. Bring back those maroon joints. Nobody likes the black and red ones. A very small majority do. I do. I thought those were cool. So we'll see. What time am I and Larry going live tonight? I don't know. He's probably. I got to check my DMs. Let me see if he messaged me. Let's see what he says. Oh, yep, there it is. Stream later. Yeah. What time you thinking? There we go. Larry. There it is. Larry Kruger. Hit that DM. He says, stream later? I said, yeah, what time you thinking? So we'll see. About to figure that out. We'll be live with Larry tonight. Different injury than Mustafa, but it took Cena 3 months to return from a torn pec. Let's see. 49ers red zone. They only have the red and those burgundy jerseys to go to. Maybe all the blackout ones or the alternate gold jersey. The 1950s helmet would look cool on that. Yeah, the red. I don't know. It's going to be interesting what they do with the jerseys. I'm really excited to see what they figure out with these jerseys. So, Monster Park. Oh, yeah, those are the days. A Kittle jersey for you. Upton was ranked 6th in run defense against all college DBs. Yeah, there was a stat I posted yesterday about Upton. Let me pull this one up. This was impressive. So Upton Stout had a 90.9 run defensive grade in his first year as a slot corner at Western Kentucky, according to NFL. NFL draft files. It's pretty damn good, man. He was a stud against the run. So this is another guy that's really going to help run defense. If you guys remember when K1 Williams and hell, even Jimmy Ward, when they played the slot, they would come in, they would crash down on the run defense. And I think those two guys were so pivotal for the 49ers when they were a really good defense, right? When Salah was at the helm. So that's the type of vibe I think Upton Stout's going to bring. He's going to be a very gritty run defender for the 49ers. On top of being a really good slot corner, he's got the quickness, the speed. Now, I know he's smaller in stature, but Jimmy Ward and, K1 Williams were about the same height. And if you look, DJ Reed was another similar type guy, his size and height and everything, very, very similar comparison. So if Upton Stout can be like one of those three, drafted a hell of a good young cornerback. So yeah, it's crazy how this draft could easily be the perfect draft. I mean, that's what the Niners were going for. They knew what they needed. That's the thing. People were upset. People are chirping. People are mad. The Niners didn't do anything offseason. They know what they're doing. Fix the special teams. Now they fix the defense. Now the offense just needed to be healthy. I'm not gonna lie. Like the offense had damn good weapons. They got hurt. Debo were hurt. Ricky Pearsall was getting shot last year. He was gone. Brandon Ayuk hurt. Hopefully he comes back. Now you got Jacob Cowing. He can step in. Ricky Pearsall year 2. Juwan Jennings showcased he was a damn dog. Now he's in a contract extension again, a contract year again. I think the Niners offense will be fine as long as they can protect Brock. If you got Trent Williams, you stand a lot better chance in protecting Brock Purdy. So overall, I think the Niners had a fantastic offseason. If I had to give this team a grade for the offseason, I think overall it's an A, just in terms of everything they did. It could have been an A plus if you would have got maybe a premium left guard or a premium center. One of those two, if you would have got like a just stud guard or center, I think it would have been an A plus. It's an A. I know they didn't upgrade a lot on the O-line, but they had to fix that defense. And you got rid of some badass coaches, and you had to get rid of those coaches, and you got a really good coach back in your system. And then he brought his boy in, Brand Boyer. So overall, it's a dub. So Christine says they drafted a QB. I was very upset about that pick. Yeah, we talked about that. That quarterback pick had everybody in a tizzy. That's funny, dude. I was a little crazy. Shock value was insane when it happened. But looking at it now, seeing the overall consensus of how the draft panned out, I guess it's not that bad. They said they were happy with the O-line. 49ers are, but the fans aren't. AJ says, us fans see what we think the Niners need, but they know exactly what they truly need. Yeah, you just gotta wait and see. At the end of the day, yeah, we can sit here and play GM, and that's what the offseason's about. It's all about pretending you're a GM, offseason wish list. You fantasize, you're doing like fantasy football booking on your team. You're like, okay, Niners need to get this guy. Oh, he's available. Try to get him. Oh my God, Max Crosby. Like if you look at all the posts through the offseason, if you look at if it's not a shit post, just like a whatever type of post, like whatever player's doing or some nonsense, the workout videos, because there's not a lot of substance in the off season. So people come up. If let's say, I don't know, a player like there was a lot of players available this offseason. Myles Garrett, let's use him for example. Myles Garrett, oh my God, he's not coming back to the Browns. Oh my God, is he gonna be released? Is he gonna be traded? So boom, as soon as that drops, content is should the 49ers trade for Myles Garrett? Oh my God, and it gets everybody in the tizzy. That's off-season content. But there's no realistic way the 49ers were ever getting Myles Garrett. That's the off-season. It's just a bunch of what Niner fans think. It's dreams and wishes. Oh, my God. Oh, Niners would look amazing if they got Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa, Max Crosby. And then they start thinking, oh, this O-lineman, this guy. Niners not going to do all that stuff. But it's fun to think about it. That's where off-season content goes because people got things they want to talk about. If you run a football page or a YouTube or whatever, you still got to talk about the 49ers. So how are you going to do it? Oh, should the 49ers bring in Max Crosby? Let's talk about it. Oh, my God. And then contract stuff. And then free agency is about to hit. So when free agency comes, you start making up. Oh, this guy might be on his way to the Niners. Oh, this would be a good fit. Then you got Matt Mayoko. These are my 5 predictions of who the 49ers are going to sign. And then you got us clowns listening to Matt Mayoko saying, these are what Matt Mayoko thinks is going to happen on the offseason. And not a single one of those things come true. And then we all look like idiots. And then you got Deanna Rossini stirring up the Kool-Aid. Oh, well, the 49ers, blah, 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 blah. That's the offseason in a nutshell, Niner fans. I hate it. I'm glad that the 49er season's actually getting around the corner. I'm glad that offseason training's coming. I'm glad the schedule is coming out because this is all real news. It's all not fake news. I love real news and I hate fake news, and I cannot wait to start posting more real news. So MSQ says, I wanted them to draft a premium left guard, but you didn't want to draft Booker at 11. Make it make sense? I'll let you make it make sense. I wanted a premium left guard, but I don't think you would have taken him over Mykel Williams. I think the 49ers did what they needed to do, and that is shoring up the defensive line. If you remember, everything that I said leading up to this draft was D-line, 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 beef up the D-line. Yeah, it would be nice to get an O-line, but I think in the second round, the 49ers should have addressed. That's where if they were to get a guard in the second round, if they would have taken Booker in the second round, I would have been absolutely fantastically happy. And we said that on Larry's show last week. Give me a left guard in the second round, like Booker or somebody of that nature. But please get me a defensive lineman in the first round. I thought it was going to be Nolan. Mykel Williams made a lot more sense when John Lynch talked. So that's where my head was. But absolutely would have loved to have got Booker, but just not at 11 because I wanted a guy that could come in and just make a damn impact on the defensive side of the ball. And that's Mykel Williams. So, yeah. Leon says, I'm hyped up for the new uniform. I hope they look clean. Me too, man. Salah was picking the first 4-round dude. Robert Salah was absolutely cooking. He probably walked in, rolled up his sleeves, said, Kyle, through his wallet. He took the keys, revved up the engine. This is my show. I'm the captain now. I'm the captain. Go sit there. Go make me a cup of Joe, Kyle. Go make me a cup of coffee, Kyle. And he started saying, okay, this is what we're picking. Okay, Mykel's on the board. Boom, let's go. He probably said, yo, John, you think Carolina's going to trade up that 8th pick? Let's see. Hey, Bryce Young, would you like us to trade up the number 8th pick? No, we need to get Ted McMillan. GM of the Panthers? No, we ain't trading. Damn it. Okay, just don't draft our guy, Mykel Williams. And they were praying, crossing their fingers, crossing their toes, crossing their arms like this, praying Mykel Williams was drafted. And Salah got his guy. Boom, second round. They kept doing it. He kept getting defensive line. Robert Salah definitely took control of that draft. It was amazing to see. So he said, I'm not coming back. Chelsea said, more like, I'm not coming back. Yeah, he probably told Kyle, like, on the phone call, yo, Kyle, you want me to come back? You really want me to come back? Here's my terms of return. You let me draft. You let me take control of this draft. Oh, okay, Robert. I don't want to have Nick Sorensen back. So okay, bye bye. And then he called up Nick. Hey, Nick, pack up your bags. You're headed to Dallas. You're gone. That's what happened, man. And Robert Saleh got control, fixed his defense. We're in good hands with Robert, and I'm excited. I think we all are. So let's see. A couple more questions, and we're going to bounce. Whose offensive line is better, Niners or the Cowboys? I don't know. That's a good question. They did beef up with your boy, Tyler Booker. We'll see. We'll see what happens this year. Leon says, Tig, Jair Brown's going to bounce back with the DC that actually knows how to use them. I hope so, man. I hope so, because Jair Brown has been an absolute he's been a waste, man. It's been unfortunate. He just hasn't developed like I thought he would. I thought he was going to be a superstar last year, but I think Robert Saleh can bring out that dog in him. So we'll see. Brock Purdy had an arm injury, and since then he has been able to throw the deep ball. Can he get back to that deep ball pass last 2 seasons? Yeah, I don't know. I think that injury, he may say it doesn't affect him, but at some point there's got to be some type of impact that injury had. It's a torn UCL, man. Maybe the velocity isn't as good as it is, but if you look at the stats, some people will tell you he hasn't lost much on it, but we'll see. Also, too, I don't think they necessarily had the type of receivers for the deep pass, I think this year now with hopefully Brandon Ayuk come back and be healthy, and Ricky Pearsall takes that leap, and Jacob Cowing can be utilized more. They also drafted Jordan Watkins. I think those guys are more accustomed to a deeper type of pass, so maybe they'll help out with the Brock Purdy and the deep pass, but it'll be interesting. Okay, Robert, you like that? That was good. Julia says the negotiations with the special teams coach was like, this is what happened. Okay, Robert, this is Robert calling Brant Boyer. Hey, okay, the plan is activated. They got me in as DC. I'm going to hire you as the special teams coordinator. I'm going to give you control of getting every special teams coordinator. Have you seen that fucking roster? There's a man named Ronnie Bell. Yeah, the Michigan guy. Have you seen him play? Did you see the muffs he had? Did you see the drops? He's a special teams return. He's the return man. I know. Can you believe it? Okay, Brant, we're going to announce you as the special teams coordinator. Hold up. Let me make the call to Kyle. He'll fire that chump Brian Schneider, and we're going to fix the special teams. And then in the draft, I will fix the defense. He did the whole Simpson, excellent Smithers, and that's what they did. Brant Boyer came, fixed the special teams, and their plan worked so far. So we'll see if they pan out. But I'll tell you what, man, they gutted that roster. They got rid of all the bums, and they put together their guys. They came, bro. It's crazy. Brant Boyer and Robert Saleh came in with like gangsters in this team. They came together like Smokestack from Sinners. They came together like Smokestack and just took over. They took over. They said, all right, move over here. Give me some coffee. Give me some chocolate. Let's make some moves. This guy's on your roster. He gone. Oh, my God. This guy on your roster. He gone. Yo, we're drafting him. We're signing him. We're getting him. They took care of that roster, man. So that's pretty much. Oh, man. That's what happened, man. I love it. So good stuff. Niners took care of business. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll be live with Larry Krueger. Let's see if he DM'd me back. So I'll give you a time. We'll be live tonight at what time? He hasn't got back to me yet. He's seen the message. He left me on red. He doesn't know what time yet. So he will text me eventually what time we're thinking. So here we go. We'll see. But we'll be live tonight with my boy Larry Krueger tonight. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And you take care of business. Oh, yeah. Couple things. AJ says Boyer and Saleh did the same thing Kyle and Lynch did when they came to the Niners. That's true. They did. They kind of cleaned house. And then Leon Sandcastle said no one is safe on special teams. Pepper was toast. They got rid of that long snapper so damn fast. John Weeks, they had like Brant Boyer probably was targeting Weeks for weeks. No pun intended, actually. They had him like spotted out as the new long snapper. Like his guy was very well, respected in Houston. And Brant Boyer was probably like, oh, we got to get this guy. As soon as he came in, they got rid of Tabor Pepper so fast. It was crazy. It was crazy how quick they got rid of a long snapper like that. So Brant Boyer definitely had his plan, man. This shit was crazy. But yeah, we will be back tonight. So we'll be back. I love y'all. Take care. Bang, bang. Nana gang.